Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. Today we're going to be talking about this blue scooter that's absolutely lovely. And the only thing that Shumi's told me about it is that the conversation is not going to be very long. And that I'm not too happy to hear.
It's just a scooter.
It's just a scooter. Huh? It's a beautiful blue scooter.
Just a family scooter.
I to love all scooters.
And that too derived from a existing scooter with the best parts of the scooter it replaces. There is literally not a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not all new?
It is all new, but it is all new in so many conventional ways that there's not a lot to talk about.
Okay, then.
And that does not mean it's a bad scooter, okay? It's a really, really good scooter.
So this is the TVS
This
Jupiter
is the TVS Jupiter.
110.
There is no official 110 in the badging, but just to clear confusion, because they also have the 125, we are going to call it the Jupiter 110 for this episode.
Okay. So this is a facelift. Can it be called a facelift, or are they calling it a new gen?
No, it's a new generation change.
Okay.
Okay. The history of this is, this scooter's name is now 11 years old. The Jupiter 110 is 11 years old. The Jupiter 125 is 3 years old. Jupiter 125, they changed the way they organized the frame, which brought the, for example, the fuel tank under the floorboard, if you remember. It created a lot of convenience. It created a much larger underseat storage, etc. I think it's taken TVS 3 years to take this frame and build the 110 version of the Jupiter out of it.
Okay.
That is 99% of the story.
It's not the same frame though?
It's almost exactly the same frame.
Okay.
Okay. There are a few small changes here and there, none of which are significant. And you know how TVS likes to say we optimized everything for small changes as an accumulated set? They say small optimizations everywhere on the frame.
Yeah.
Okay. In the process of which there are minor changes. For example, the previous 110 Jupiter had say 5.8 liters of fuel in it. This has 5.2.
Okay.
But fuel economy is up by 10%, so it balances out and you'll get roughly the same range, for example. The engine technically is brand new for the Jupiter 110, but it is only technically brand new because this is the Jupiter 125's engine being reworked to build the 110 out of it.
Oh. Okay, so it's new for the 110, but it's derived from the 125.
Yes. So
Okay.
they've taken two of their good products and they're building the best of those products into the Jupiter 110, which is why I'm saying it is new in some ways. It is new in such conventional ways that there's not a lot to discuss, but it does result in a very impressive scooter overall anyway.
Okay, I'm a bit fussy about the differences between the 110 and the 125
Sure.
in terms of size.
Yeah.
Were they very different earlier? No. They were.
See, all the 125cc scooters all circle the same wagon as it were in terms of size. There's nothing substantially larger or otherwise, maybe with the exception of the Bergman, and it's only larger because it's supposed to be like a maxi scooter sitting on a 125cc platform. So to me, the Suzuki looks a little bit like a gym body bike. You know what a gym body bike is, right? It's like this, but skinny legs.
I just wanted to understand that by going to a chassis which is coming from a 125, did it gain dimensions by way of amount of room
No,
or
and in fact,
comfort?
if you remember the 125 and the 110, they were in our office together as little as 3 or
Oh, yeah,
4,
we
5
couldn't
weeks
make-
ago.
yeah,
and we
yeah.
couldn't make out which one was which because TVS had given us both brown ones.
Correct.
So in the same way now, what TVS is saying is, let's tune the Jupiter to be slightly more youthful and therefore let's begin at design. So it's a fresher looking design. And a lot of people have said, for example, that it sits halfway between the meek and mild, non-offensive styling of the Jupiter and something a little bit more modern on that, like a iQube, somewhere halfway. I'm saying somewhere halfway with a hint of, let's call it the N-Torque thrown in. So there's a couple of sharp lines in there. It's a very nice looking scooter.
Dude, calling it nice is a bit of a disservice, man. I really liked it.
It's a family scooter. To me, it looking nice is important. It looking striking is terrible for this segment because it will immediately polarize opinion.
No, I get that. Like, it's not like ether, always polarizing.
Correct.
And talk also.
Yes. So to me, this is a appealing scooter in a nice, subtle way.
Correct.
And to me, this is exactly what a family scooter needs to look like. So I am not going to say striking, outrageous.
No, not striking, but it's good looking.
Yeah, it's nice looking.
It's not like, like family scooters can end up being a little.
Yeah, this is nice looking. There's no two ways about it that things work. They've done two black highlights. One is under the front DRL, which we'll talk about, which is a design feature. And at the back, It's the surround around which the tail light is in this surround. Both of these are gloss black panels. In some colors, this gloss black panel looks a little odd. But for example, in the blue one that you're looking at on the screen, it does look good. Okay. One of the things that they've done is on the top model of the Jupiter, you'll get what you're seeing in the pictures, which is an even LED that runs all the way around the front apron. And it's a nice clean beam of light.
Okay.
The edges are indicators that are built into the same thing. So when you indicate the same DRL, some part of it turns into yellow. It's the same for the brake lights on the top model also, which is a long red light. The whole thing is a tail light. But when you indicate, the edges turn into indicators.
And this is standard for all the models?
Only the top model.
Only the top model.
On the lower models, the tail light, the red is short and the edges are clearly yellow. And on the lower models, the front DRL, it's not all the way around. It's at the edges and the middle is a black section.
Okay.
So this is only for the top model, and I still have issues with the way they package their trims, which we'd spoken about when we did the 110 in the View story, and the same issues persist with this scooter also, but we'll come to that. So what they've done this time is they've taken what all they could get out of the Jupiter 125 platform and moved them into the 110 platform. So the first thing, fuel is now under the floorboard, which means that over the engine physically, there's nothing. So you can have a lot of under-seat storage. So you're up to 33 liters now. And if you wear one of the smaller Indian helmets, full face or half face, then 2 helmets can go into under that seat. If you wear a proper ECE rated type of helmet, you'll struggle to put even one in properly because it's just not deep enough. There's no lack of space, but it's not deep enough. The floorboard is large, means it will take stuff there. Ergonomics also, the seat is enormous again. And remember that the family scooters have all been circling the enormous seat game. And for example, the Atharista said we have the largest seat. The reference for that largest seat was the Jupiter 125. Now a seat of that kind of dimension is coming to the Jupiter 110. So this is another enormous seat. So now I would say the Bajaj Chetak Electric, the Rizta and the Jupiter 125 and 110, they have some of the largest seats in this segment now.
Okay.
The seat to me is surprisingly soft in terms of foam. And I rode maybe 5 laps of the TVS test track, and all in that much time I could already feel myself sinking into the seat, which I think is terrible.
No.
But TVS said we are aware that a firmer seat would be better, but we are also aware that customers reject firmer seats on site at showrooms, so they don't really have a choice about putting something firmer in there. If you're buying a Jupiter, I think it's worthwhile going to a seat guy 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the line. Can I get something much firmer? And you'll take about, I think, 2 months to get used to that firmness of the seat, and then you'll never think about your seat again, which to me is the right way to do it. But what I'm happy is TVS said we are aware of this, and they also said the customer is not ready to accept it, so there's no way that we can give a thicker seat. It will reduce the appeal of the scooter. Fair enough. Under seat storage, floorboard is also a little bit larger. I'm not going to go into, can you put an LPG cylinder in there? Because honestly, if you're putting an LPG cylinder on your scooter's floorboard, your safety issues are far larger than does it fit or not. You shouldn't be doing it.
Tell me, sorry, the LPG, I just got some content on somewhere on social where somebody was trying to put, did they have a cylinder there for people to test it out?
There was a breakfast station, Karthik. Somebody went up to the breakfast station and they convinced the people who were serving breakfast saying, can I borrow one of your cylinders and try to put it on the scooter? So because of that platform, the engine has also come from the Jupiter 125, which makes things simple because the mounting points, etc. remain roughly in the same place. They've basically kept the stroke and sleeved down the bore a little bit, and you get the new engine. The trick that TVS has done this time is they've integrated a starter motor generator into this, what they call the integrated starter generator, ISG. What that allows them to do is, just like on the Yamaha Fasino or the Raze R, it allows the motor to silent start the scooter and then add a little bit torque back when you're trying to accelerate hard, for which the only thing they had to do was upgrade the battery spec. So the ampere hourage on this scooter is a little bit more than usual. Again, TVS is saying it's not just that. 1,000 small optimizations were done with the battery supplier to make the battery become superior in whatever way. They didn't explain the details. And therefore now that thing will say ready, assist ready. Okay. Which means that the battery now has enough charge to give you a boost if you want. And the boost is quantified to 0.6 Newton meters.
0.6, okay.
So you get 9.2 Newton meters ICE, and then the boost will add 0.6. You get 9.8 in total.
So they added it up?
Yeah. So they said normally if the battery is discharged to the point where it can't give you a boost right now, you're going to experience 9.2 Newton meters. But when the battery has reached that level and it is ready to give you a boost, you'll experience 9.8 Newton meters.
Okay.
When you're riding, there is a very slight difference, but my feeling of slight is coming from the fact that I'm riding at a test track with absolutely nothing to interrupt my flow. So I'm basically able to consume all the assist, drop the battery below that charge state, then have to ride without it for a while until it reaches that charge state and do it again. So we'll experience this in traffic
This in
properly.
the city traffic will be better, yeah.
We will see what it does in city traffic.
But wait, before you go further, now when an engine is being reconfigured like this, there can be change in characteristics. What were there for the original package to this? So does this feel in any which way less sweet?
No. It's a
Is
very
refinement,
smooth,
smooth?
sweet engine.
Okay.
If anything, there is a transient small vibration that I think they should iron out even further. Not that it interrupts you, but in the sense it is so smooth elsewhere that you'll notice that this little bit is there. That's all. It's very smooth. The previous Jupiter 110 was already very good. This is also very, very good. The Activa on smoothness may be slightly smoother than the scooter, but to me, it's not something I would decide between the two upon. Because the Activa has so many other things that are wrong with it versus the Jupiter that it makes no sense to me today that you would go and buy Activa at all. So there is enough acceleration. This assist thing sort of takes between, if I remember my numbers correctly, between 100 and 120, 130 seconds to recharge.
Okay.
So in theory, if you use boost, you'll lose that charge. You'll lose the support of the battery, and then the support will come back to you roughly 2 minutes later, and you can keep doing this in a loop as often as you like. There is no all electric running mode, just in case this was a question. It is always running on the engine, and the ISG is only being called in to support acceleration. That's it. It's doing nothing else. It doesn't support you during coasting, race fuel economy, none of this. In terms of economy, you're looking at TVS is between 8 to 10% more economy than before. And the Jupiter 110 was already able to give you 50 quite easily. So you're expected to see 55 maybe from this scooter. So again, I think this is a hygiene number, and they've improved 10% on a hygiene number. So we are doing well. So if you think about it, it accelerates well. It returns more fuel economy. It is smooth, quiet and refined. Overall, it's a very good improvement and on a very good scooter already.
10% gain is good.
Yeah. So we have absolutely no concerns on the powertrain of this scooter in this front.
Sounds too good to be true. What's the price?
Price will come to, but it is 3,000 rupees less than the Activa, more or less.
Oh.
So we are okay on price also. TVS's Achilles heel will be service, and TVS's Achilles heel will be their conservatism, which will come and interrupt their own flow in just about a second from now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll come to it. The other thing that you'll really enjoy is it has 12-inch wheels as standard. 12-inch wheels are important because the larger your wheel is, the more stable your vehicle will feel, A. And B, when you hit a bump, the difference in the wheel size versus the size of the bump, the bigger the wheel is for the same bump, the more stable, comfortable the vehicle will feel, which is why 10s always feel worse. 12s feel good. 14s can almost feel motorcycle-like. In Europe, you get 16-inch scooters, which actually feel like small motorcycles. And then, of course, motorcycles are 17s and 18s and 19s or whatever. The Jupiter always has 12-inch wheels across the entire range. Whether you get the alloy wheels, you get the steel wheels, it's all 90-90-12. So they've already given you a leg up there. Just to give you a reference point, the Activa still uses a 10-inch rear and it uses a 12 front. The Activa has still not discovered what alloy wheels are. It still has not discovered what a disc brake looks like.
Does Activa get telescopic forks up front?
They just started, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have discovered telescopic forks.
On the 110.
You know, it's like playing Civilization. Have you played Civilization? Where I have an advanced civilization and I'm about to go to Andromeda and there is people who are still discovering fire. The Activa is in the same situation.
But for the 110 Activa? But the 125 used to have. The 110 has?
110 has discovered nothing. 110 is caveman.
So 110 still doesn't have...
It's still doing stone tools, bro.
So then this has a advantage. I mean, it's
of
a
course,
significant
it's always
advantage.
had. No, this is not a new advantage.
Yeah, correct.
It's always had.
No, I thought maybe the Activa has also moved forward in this. Okay, fine. Yeah, my bad.
Activa moved forward.
My bad.
Since when?
My bad. Moving forward?
Moving forward. So, you'll really enjoy the comfort level on this scooter. Okay? The TVS track now has a few bumps on it. It's not had a lot of bumps for a long time. So
they always had one in the loop, in the middle of the loop, no?
That they flattened.
Oh, they flattened.
But on the straights, a couple of bumps have appeared as the land has settled a little bit.
Okay.
And you can tell that it is going to feel stiffly damped initially, but in a Honda way, which is not uncomfortable, which is, I got this. And I think out on the public road, you will think of this as a scooter that is doing a very good job of isolating you without feeling super soft, luxurious and plush like, for example, the iQube does.
Okay.
But the iQube doesn't have balance in sense of it'll feel luxurious if you go slow, but it'll feel bouncy if you go fast. I think the Jupiter will feel balanced. How do I know this? This TVS test track has one really long right-hander with a huge bump in the middle. That bump has reduced in severity in time, but that bump was something very, very spectacularly massive. In that, I am entering that at nearly the top speed of this scooter, and I'm not worried at all. The tires grip, the chassis is stable, it feels completely plugged in, and when you hit that bump, it loses its line not even a little bit. So to me, the dynamics of this scooter, and they're unimportant for family scooters in some ways, they are spot on. This is stable. This is, I think, going to prove to be comfortable. And your biggest comfort element that will interrupt you is probably the softness of the seat rather than any of the other physical elements. Rishad is 6'2", autocar, and Rishad said he sat and his knees fit into the scooter quite neatly.
Oh, nice.
Pratik Kundar, I think, is even taller. He's bike wale. His knees also more or less fit on the scooter. I think he's 6'3" or something.
Oh,
I am 6 foot. I had never even thought about the handlebar and my knees having an interaction of any sort. And of course, there were journalists who are less tall than this, none of whom noticed an issue. So I think the ergonomics, again, remember, family scooters are vanilla ice cream. They have to be tasty enough to be appealing, but not so distinct that somebody won't like it. Nailed it. This is some of the best vanilla ice cream scooters you can buy right now. So TVS actually in a very good position because they have the fantastic iQube as a family scooter. They have the Jupiter 125, which if they were to just lighten the controls a little bit, and we rode them back to back, and the 125 is just like, why am I putting so much force into opening the throttle?
that's not the issue here.
The 110 was already lighter.
No, because they've gone to this engine.
No, it's literally the throttle spring. It has nothing to do with the engine. It's just that I have to feel like my forearm did some work to open the throttle on the 125.
I hate that feeling when it's heavy. It's
and
terrible.
The 110 was just light and connected, and the 110 just felt perkier as a result. On the stopwatch, the 125 is the better scooter. But when you ride it, the 110 feels more alive.
Okay.
This new Jupiter also feels more alive. So I think as a package, great package. Then TVS has to do technology, and this is where TVS starts to have trouble.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Heated seat.
Thankfully, no.
Connected.
No, 2 or 3 simple things. One, the fuel filler lid is here on your apron, and you twist the key, thing opens. TVS has not been able to get the damping on this, on their opening thing. Yes, sir.
Oh.
And that's okay, you get used to it. It's quite cute in some ways. But on the 125, when you go to the petrol pump and ask him to top up your scooter, they look at the fuel filler cap and they get scared. And they will not auto set it. They said, isme se girta hai.
Oh.
And during our testing here with the 125, all of the petrol pumps we went to, they all refused to fill this scooter on automatic.
Okay.
We will fill it manually, we will fill it slowly. You please have patience, let us do our jobs.
Okay.
And I feel like this is the same thing. So it will have the same issue eventually, we'll see. Okay, but if you were buying the scooter, the TVS scooters with the fuel filler cap on your apron, I think you will find, please leave us a comment if you do, that petrol pump attendants are kind of leery of just setting it to automatic and letting autocar take care of it. They always say, thoda bahut fuel will come out of the scooter. I expect this may happen to this scooter also. That's one. Second, because it has an integrated starter generator, TVS has put start-stop into it. But the whole world start-stop system works like this. You're running and you have start-stop enabled. You come to a stop, the bike kills itself. When the light turns green, you open the throttle, you go. This is not good enough for TVS.
What?
You have to give it one blip to confirm that I would like the scooter to start so we can go. Now, think about it. It would be simpler for me to hit the starter button again to arm the scooter than to do this with my throttle before I have to go. And if I have to do all of this drama, there's no point having a start-stop system because you've just increased my work. The whole idea of the start-stop system was that it ran in the background, native to you, with you having to do absolutely nothing. I come to a stop, the vehicle says they have stopped, they don't need anything. On the scooter, no air conditioning, no power draw, turn it off. Oh, he's opening the throttle or she's opening the throttle, time to go, wake up the engine. Let's go. With the starter motor generator, the cranking sound is also not there. So 1 minute the scooter's engine is silent and just 1 minute it's awake and let's go. No, you cannot do that on the TVS. And this is not an accident. I'll give you another example. How does cruise control work on the average bike?
You turn it on.
You turn it on.
Set the speed.
Set the speed.
And confirm.
And confirm.
Yeah.
Do you confirm?
Just confirm, no? Like,
no. You set the speed and it's done.
Once it's
it
on.
Confirms. You don't confirm anything, right? It's a 2-step process. I switch on the system, I set the speed, set, we go. On TVS, when you switch it on the first time, every single time...
This has cruise control?
No. On TVS machines, like the RTR 310, which has cruise control, which is an excellent system otherwise, it's not that simple.
Okay.
So, when you start the TVS, every single time, you have to do this to access cruise control at least once. Which is, once cruise control is on, it will give you a tiny warning that says, cruise control please press the brake or clutch to confirm that you'd like to use cruise control. So it's not enough for me to switch it on, set a speed, and say, let's go. No.
Okay.
You have to give it one additional confirmation that, hey, I did intend to do this. What? You don't trust me to press the buttons. You're willing to sell me a 35 bhp bike, but you're not willing to trust me with the buttons. Right? So similarly, the start-stop system on the scooter, I like the system because it works. But they put a blip in the middle, and I have to sit there at the traffic light doing this logic. What if your kid is in the floorboard and he twists the throttle? Why is there a kid on the floorboard? One, there is a safety issue to that. Second, if the kid is always on the floorboard, they've got access to a whole bunch of other buttons that are as risky as the throttle itself. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, sounds like, yeah.
So TVS does these weird things with their tech. We've seen it happen over and over again. Here are a couple of more examples of this. Okay. Now, the top version, which is the one we rode, has a reverse LCD screen, which is black background with color segmented LCDs on top.
Okay.
Most of it is clearly visible. Some of it in bright sunlight can be a little bit hard to read. But the little display at the top where it says assist ready, for example, that display gets very busy. Because TVS wants to cycle through information. So every time you look down, it's saying something else. So for example, I'm going down the straight. I'm preparing for the corner. I look down, it says assist ready. Okay. So I open the throttle. When I open the throttle, it's starting to report, for example, instant fuel economy. I look down again.
But isn't there a separate readout for fuel economy?
No, it's all in that, but it doesn't stay there. It keeps cycling through things.
On its own?
On its own. And I got to, it's really a little bit annoying because you can see this, you in your peripheral vision, there's movement. There's constant movement.
Nice.
So to me, I know that they need to report the fact that the battery is ready for you to have assistance. And to me, this is a green LED glowing at the corner of your display, and that's all that it needs to be. Second, they have a vertical screen again. Okay. Like the RTR 310 is a vertical screen. This is also a vertical screen, but they're sharing the bezel with the bottom scooters, which have an analog digital display. Right? So you have a display that sort of looks like that. For you guys, I'll put a picture. It's a display that looks like that. The bezel looks like that.
Yeah.
And normally the analog displays in the middle and whatever, right? Now there's a screen in the middle and there's that much space.
Then why is it vertical?
I don't know.
I mean, it slid past you on the RTR. On the RR. You got it, like the space there. It was something different. Okay, fine, I got it. But here, doesn't it look odd?
Yeah, it does.
Is it the same screen as well?
No. That's a color TFT.
Achha, that's a
this is a segmented LCD display, and this is only on the top model.
Okay.
And that LCD panel also leads to that little chakra type thing with all the arrows pointing out of it, so that they can do turn-by-turn navigation also with the TVS app, etc.
Got it.
So there's a lot of functionality in there for sure. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying TVS needs to be a little bit more cautious with technology in terms of what do I need to show the user in terms of we've been able to do.
This is the opposite of Honda. Hey, do less. Okay, you could do less and it'll be better.
Yeah, look, TVS engineering is not shouty. It is effective. But TVS UI UX design seem to be more shouty than useful. I would like that balance restored. So can you do turn-by-turn navigation? Yes, and why shouldn't you? But it doesn't have to be in your face every 16 minutes reminding you that we have turn-by-turn navigation.
You know what? We were having this conversation. It was not connected with anything that we were talking about here, but we were talking about why are cars becoming like these toy shops on wheels with 10,000 things being stuffed in. And the bottom line was, today, if you want to be differentiated from other products and other brands, is the easiest thing to do, because so many of these things are being, like, especially in the case of cars, are being borrowed or co-developed. Like a sound system or ADAS or, the 3-4 screens, how many other screens they want to fit into a car today. It's easy to borrow and differentiate it. And this is the worry that we spoke about this, that in bikes also this is going to happen, but we always say err on the side of caution.
And no, I'm saying not just TVS. Everybody needs to, all the manufacturers need to think about what are we designing to be able to sell this vehicle more easily, and what are we designing for the rider to live with this vehicle better. And they're not the same set. right? For example, we know that most of you buy Bluetooth as a hygiene element in your two-wheelers today, and most of you do not use Bluetooth on a regular basis anyway. You're just saying, I don't want to miss out on the idea that maybe I turn out to be a fan of this Bluetooth thing and I use it tomorrow. So I don't want to lose the opportunities. I'd pay the money for the Bluetooth. Then you'll never use it, right? One is a buying consideration, one is a living consideration. And I'm not seeing a direct bridge between the two yet. If there was, for example, combined braking system, there is a direct bridge between the two. You're legally required to have it. Let's make a good system, and the good system makes the scooter easy to stop, which, for example, the Jupiter 110 does. The brakes are really good and it stops really well. The CBS works really well. So I can see a direct connection between we need something for the marketing to talk about, we need this because it's legally required, and we think it is going to make the rider's life better. All three solved with one clean, nice system. What could they have done better? If TVS wanted to be seen as a progressive manufacturer, maybe the scooter should have had at least single channel ABS as an option on the top model. Saying, okay, only 3% of people are going to opt for it, but hey, we are happy to give them that option. That we've not done. On the other side, we want to say we have a ISG, we have a battery, and that can give you a boost. But let us remind the user every 15 seconds that the boost is ready for them to have. That's not, to me, a scrolling thing that goes up and down on an LCD screen. To me, that's a green LED light that appears. And if you want to see an example of it, see a Harley Davidson instrument cluster from 3, 4, 5 years ago, where for top gear, they used to have a very weirdly written 6. The font was really weird. Next to it was a really small green LED. And at any time that you were riding, because Harleys are so talky, you can get confused as to what gear you're in. You just glance down, and if the green LED was there, you'd know you were in top gear.
There are two things that we've spoken about here today which show how the riding experience, whether it's a scooter, motorcycle, whatever it is such an innate sensory experience.
Correct.
And why your senses have to be focused on the right things. Shumi spoke about the throttle, and I responded by saying I hate it. And it'll sound like such a silly thing to hate.
But it adds up.
But a heavy throttle is one of the most tiring experiences ever. Even on a scooter, over short distances, when your hand starts hurting because of that heavy throttle, the scooter will feel sluggish, the commute will feel painful, you will just not enjoy it.
Correct.
And same way, that movement of in your peripheral vision, where you're actually looking out for threats or things that you need to react to quickly, where your attention will be like, oh, I sense movement, I need to react.
Correct.
Something there all the time, that's not a good thing, because you'll get more tired and fatigued by either going on ignoring it, or it'll dull your responsiveness in that area altogether.
Exactly. The other interesting thing, and I like it, I know you guys are going to have a debate about this, the top model doesn't have a Kickstarter. The others do. But the top version, the one you'll see in the pictures, that's the only variant of the Jupiter that does not come with a kickstart. I think that is awesome. You don't need a Kickstarter in 2024.
This whole thing happened with motorcycles as well. Remember when the Kickstart started going, oh, it doesn't have
It's
a
still
Kickstart.
happening.
It's still happening.
Yeah.
Acha. I forgot about it.
Yeah. No, and I'm telling you, okay, you're riding 100, 125, 150, maybe even a 200, 250, and you have a Kickstarter, fine. You get to the 650 twin and you try to kickstart it, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
No chance.
Right. And you look up the videos of vintage machines which have 750 twins, 800 twins, etc. See the owner start those machines. I've seen it live. It's not fun. Like I remember the Indian chief, Sajid Bhai, brought it for us to ride. Sajid Bhai said, I will start this motorcycle 3 times for you. If you haven't been able to ride it within those 3 tries, I am done. The 4th time, I'm going to start it and go home. Right? Sajid Bhai has to jump up in the air and land on the Kickstarter to get the thing to start cranking, right? It doesn't work every time. So when he says he's going to start the thing 3 times, he might mean 17 kicks in total.
Okay.
That's all he's got.
You know, for me, if a manufacturer is doing that, they better have the solution down pat.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's not going to fail. And I think we are past that point of worrying about those things.
No, and I think it's also a little bit of inertia on the part of the riders who don't change their batteries on time, for example.
That's the other side. So the worry is that battery agar down ho gaya, battery down kyun hua?
Yes, but now it's fuel injected. You need that kind of residual power in the system. So you're slowly in that corner where you will have to maintain the basic electrics in the scooter so that the electronics can work.
Correct.
In the process of which the Kickstarter becomes basically nearly useless. So if you're a fan of the Kickstarter, you're going to have to look at lower variants, which brings us very nicely to prices. You get 4 Jupiter models, variants. The basic version is steel wheels and a drum brake in front. Then you get an alloy with a drum in front. What I'm missing is an alloy with a disc in front. These two are the non-connected models. There is no Bluetooth. Above these are the two models which have the Smart Connect system, which is what TVS's Bluetooth is called, added to it. The top model is what you're looking at on the screen. It has that pedal disc in the front and it has SmartX connectivity with alloy wheels. You can also have the same with the alloy wheel with the drum in front. Okay, just so we're clear again, steel, drum, alloy drum, SmartX Connect alloy drum, and the top model which you're looking, which is alloy wheel, disc brake, and the Bluetooth connectivity suite.
Okay.
For reference, the base model starts at roughly 3,000 rupees under the Honda Activa. And the top prices go up to here. What you should know is the Jupiter is India's second largest selling scooter, which makes it a very, very important thing for TVS. If I'm not mistaken, 50% of all the scooters that TVS sells is the Jupiter 110. Scooter market is critical in India because 1 in 3 two-wheelers today is a scooter. Honda dominates this segment by far, and this TVS Jupiter has been the most successful product there is. Lots of credit to TVS for having the courage to change this product, because this is effectively a successful product right now. And this scooter hit cumulatively, both Jupiters put together, I think 68 or 1,000 units a month just before COVID. And then the sales tailed off, and they basically last year went back to pre-COVID levels already, and it's been growing since then. So to be on a growing high and then replace the product completely with something dramatically different takes a lot of courage. Full credit to them. Scooter's really good to ride. Prices look very good. The rest we'll talk about in view and balance. Overall, I had a short ride, but I had a fun ride. There's lots of good stuff going on. I just wish TVS would stop mucking around with technology and deploy it thinking, how will the rider live with this tech and how do I improve their experience? Why are you smiling?
Mucking about with technology.
They are. Look, on the RTR 310, for example. No, I'll give you an example. On the RTR 310, you have a TFT. What does a TFT give you the ability to do? It gives you the ability to show colors and it gives you the ability to have layouts. It doesn't mean it's a child at a painting competition. So your speedo, for example, has to be where it is in every single mode. But the rain mode has rain falling across the TFT, Kartik. We are not 6 anymore. At 18, you can start buying bikes. At 18, you're a functioning add-on. At 25,
I'm going to again draw the same line. What can work for cars can be a complete disaster on bikes. So all these additional bits are distractions, and they are what you don't want them.
Yeah, and TVS did 2 layouts for the RTR 310, and they reorganize elements in those layouts. Change colors. I'm still okay. So you say sport mode must be red. Okay, I get it. Eco mode must be green. I get it. But the eco mode speedo number is here, sport mode number is there, fuel gauge was there, now it is here, the radiator temperature gauge has moved around. I don't want to reorganize my glance, get information process because you have designed new graphics for every mode. And if you see how mature manufacturers do this, they use colors to highlight specific things that require your attention now. The Ducati Multistrada screen is large, it's color, and it only uses color to highlight what you need to see right now. So the modes have color highlights. So urban is gray, touring is black, sport is red, obviously, etc. When you have ABS off, it gives you a big yellow warning that your ABS is off. If your fuel filler lid has been left off, that is a big yellow warning. If your suspension sensors are reporting a failure, there's a big red warning. But everything else is subtle, and these are the only colors you'll see. Working radar is green, non-functioning radar is red. Done.
Simplicity.
Right? The RS457, all the layouts look the same. The background colors change slightly, and that's it.
Yeah. That's what I remember. Just like in my head, what I remember the RS457's instrument cluster is just, I can see the speedo clearly.
That's all it needs to do.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to do. It's not a television show, you know, and that's what I want. I know that we're going to have lots of manufacturers explore new technologies for the first time. Always remember that the purpose of the technology is to make the rider's experience easier, nothing else.
In bikes, 100%, I think following this path is not a good idea, because it's the same playbook. I can see it being applied, that you add features, you can, I mean, the vehicle cost will go up, the margins will go up, etc. But if it's going to spoil the experience and actually make things dangerous, that's a bad
and to give you an example of how TVS themselves do great work of simplifying technology and improving rider experience, this bike has the ability to flash its tail light at people when you're braking really hard.
Achha.
Simple, effective, works.
That's great.
They've also figured out how to do self-cancelling turn indicators, and the simple logic is, I think, 20 seconds and 100 meters or 200 meters, and then it turns itself off.
Nice.
Sorted.
Yeah.
This is how invisible technology is supposed to work. You will not see a hazard switch on this scooter because the center cancel button of the indicator, you just press and hold that. That's the hazard button. So they know how to simplify things, but somehow when there's a screen involved, when there's Bluetooth app connectivity, then suddenly it's a little bit like, hey, playground. No, not playground. It's still very serious.
Hey, tell me one thing. This is now cooler looking than the Jupiter 125, right?
Yes.
Then are we gonna also get a Jupiter 125 update?
I have to assume that it would, yeah. You can't have one Jupiter looking like that and one Jupiter looking like this together.
Seriously, man. Like, just because of the way it looks, like this is like the default Jupiter for me.
Yeah, and for those who need to know this information, to me it is non-critical that a scooter has metal body panels or not. The upper apron panel is plastic. The front fender is metal. The side body panels, they are metal. And to me, today, 2024, I would buy a plastic bodied scooter.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
किलो के भाव से नहीं ले रहे हैं.
नहीं, जरूरत ही नहीं.
Correct.
That's it.
I'm glad. I mean, this conversation is short for the right reasons. Half my
I
worry
told you,
was that-
they made a good scooter. They got the fundamentals right.
See, it could have been two things. It's like, this is not worth talking about.
No,
or
no,
this
no.
is good, so we're done.
Yeah. Good. Improves on every single aspect of the previous scooter. Adds a little bit of technology really well. Adds a little bit of technology in a slightly more childish fashion. Put it together, have a nice price, available, blah, blah, blah. Sorted, closed. They took their most successful product, built it up to something that should be even more successful. Case closed.
It's better.
Absolutely, 100%.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good. Happy to hear this.
Yes.
And last question. Does it have a little bit of that spark like what had happened at the Zest time?
Yeah.
It has it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not as pronounced a
That's
feeling
fine.
as the Zest or the Access has today. Not that kind of pronounced. But will you have fun if you go looking to have fun on the Jupiter 110? The old scooter already did that. This one does too.
Oh, man.
No two ways about it. Only caveats with TVS, as usual, it's not the quality, it's the service experience. We have enough comments to say, and this is, I think, I'm practically quoting comments, which says TVS's engineering is awesome, and then the service undoes that experience. So with TVS, we always come with caveats until we see a change in our comment stream. With TVS, expect friction, hassles, etc. at TVS Service. I am told TVS is working on this, but when will it happen? How will it happen? Service can take a while to sort out.
Correct.
Right? But we've changed tone at least. The last time I told TVS this, their answer was, but we just won an award for our service quality, which is a terrible response. We all know how awards are. What I would like to hear, which I heard this time, is we are aware that there may be a situation that we can work on, and we're trying to figure out what we can do with it. Far better response. Even if let's assume we are being cynical about it and say bolne ke liye bol diya. Even then it is a better response but we just won that some survey or the other.
Correct.
The survey or the other makes no difference to us. Our comments tell us constantly on a daily basis. Ola and TVS have really difficult service experiences for their customers. Both need to work on it. Now I'm hearing TVS is working on it.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I was going to ask you about quality. From
I think these were pre-production bikes. So little bit of rough edges here and there, but very well made. No obvious problems at all.
From the old 110 to this?
I would say similar quality, and that's on the basis of the fact that the previous one was already pretty decent. So I have no worries about it.
Okay. And warranty, do you have anything on warranty?
We'll do it at View Balance and FAQ. But TVS's warranties are pretty comprehensive. I'm not worried about it. The TVS warranty has one issue, which is it only applies to the original buyer of the scooter, which is an extremely regressive way to deal with your customers. Bajaj also does this, TVS also does this. But for example, Hero says 5 years, 75,000 kilometers, anybody.
Correct.
Right? We asked Ultraviolet about their 8 lakh kilometer. They said, no, I mean, if you have an Ultraviolet with legally it is in your name and the warranty is valid, then the warranty is valid. So I don't know why it has to be so regressive, but Bajaj and TVS stand out to me in having this regressive first owner only policy for their warranties. So in case you're buying a used Jupiter, maybe don't buy the Jupiter used, just buy something else because you won't get any warranty coverage on it. What? It was good advice.
No,
why are you laughing?
No, I was just laughing thinking that, these are the kind of silly things that somebody in the business loop will say, hey, this is an easy out.
Yeah.
Right? If you can prevent additional years of service and warranty being provided, it's cost saved. And okay, it works for me, but not in the long run.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't speak volumes about the trust that you have in your product.
Yeah, and you're either pro-consumer or you aren't. There's only two stands that I'm not a person who persists in a grey world. To me, it's a black and white world, right? If you're not pro your own buyers and consumers, then the other word applies. And I don't know that TVS should, even by accident or slippage, be associated with this, because they are better than that.
For sure.
That's where we're at. Good scooter. I really, really enjoyed riding it.
Really
Can't
happy
wait for
to
it
hear
to
about
come for test.
I can't wait either.
And they also have a nice range this time in terms of colors. There's those subtle bronzes and stuff, which the
Is there a yellow?
family,
No.
not a yellow, but there's a bright red and a bright blue.
Oh.
So they do have color options which are brighter, and color options that are the mild, sober thing that you'd expect for a family scooter both. So they've really done a good,
I think
thorough
they've
job
been
of it.
brave with the design, to be honest. Like this.
Yeah.
This is,
No, I'm saying forget whether the design was brave or not. The fact that they replaced a scooter at the peak of its powers, it's effectively what, the Innova again. You remember the boxy Innova disappearing and this new Innova rising when the Innova sales were at the Qualis sales were at the highest. That was considered brave for Toyota at the time, to have a secure footing
it was
in the market.
unheard of.
And then to say, no, we need to do better than this and change it.
Yeah.
Right? And now we are X number of years from that, and Innova is a legend. It's not like the Jupiter ZX, I think, is the official name. I don't think the Jupiter 110 sales had fallen to zero and there was a crisis. TVS decided unilaterally, saying, we need to replace that thing. You need to bring the benefits of the Jupiter 110. It's not good enough for it to look meek again. Let's do something fresh. Awesome.
And dude, what a great point. Because when you said about the Jupiter 110 and 125, which is fine, that they can look similar. But so often you look at scooters and you can't make out which one is which.
Yeah.
And in this one, suddenly, and TVS is doing this with a family scooter, which is like, wow, that looks nice.
Yeah. And when I can't identify a scooter, I automatically assume it's an Activa. I mean, because what, 60% of the time you'll be right. Right?
The odds are in your favor.
I don't think the Activa owners themselves can tell whether they have a 4G or 5G or a 6G or whatever in any case.
Where are we at right now, though?
6.5G, I think.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious. 6G officially.
Okay.
I think the 7G is around the corner now.
Okay.
Because it will soon be the 20th anniversary of the Honda Activa, right? I think at that point it'll discover disc brakes, maybe alloy wheels. It'll be awesome.
Well, the conversation was meant to be short because the scooter was sweet, and looking forward to seeing it here in the studio. Just to let you know, episodes from MotorInc, whether it's Disconnect or MotorInc First, are now only available on YouTube. The other platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, they will not be uploaded there because it was just getting a little difficult for us to get back to you and complete the conversations that were going on there. So we'll see you here on YouTube. And in the meantime, we have been working on something else so that we can have better conversations. More on that a little bit later. Until then, thank you so much for watching.